Hello, good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Can you please confirm if my voice is audible or not? Just confirm the audio from your end. Fine, so there is no problem with the voice. So, hello everyone, welcome to another session of Perspective 360 degree where we do current affair based answer writing practice in a detailed and structured manner. So, if you are a student preparing for exams like RBI, NABARD, etc., then this session is definitely going to help you with answer writing practice for the descriptive paper of phase 2. So, without wasting any time, let us begin with the session. And today we are going to talk about this chapter of economic survey, which is services, new challenges for the old war horse. So you would be knowing that one by one we are trying our best to cover the different components as far as the different chapters of the economic survey are concerned. And today we are going to talk about the service sector. Why we are discussing this topic? Because we know that if we talk about our syllabus, then in this syllabus this service sector in India has been mentioned very precisely. So this content is going to help you as a fodder material, fine, and which ultimately you can replicate in the examination. And all the information that we are going to discuss as a part of this session, the primary source is economic survey only. I have not taken any kind of outside information, and I hope it is pretty much clear to all of you. Now, if you are somebody who is new to this Perspective 360 initiative, let me just brief you that here, firstly, we are going to give you an expected question based on the current affair. Then we are going to discuss that expected question as a part of this session. And once the session is done, what you have to do, you have to write the answer of this expected question in the comment box. That will be evaluated by our team within 48 hours. So if you want your answer to get evaluated, please post it within 48 hours, and it will also allow you to compare your answers with the answers of fellow aspirants also, fine. So that will help you in competitive learning. I hope it is clear to you. Now let us move on to today's question, and as I told you, the topic for today is related to service sector based on the economic survey, of course. So the question is, discuss the role of service sector in India's economic growth and highlights its progress. Write the recommendations to enhance the sector's growth and global competitiveness. So firstly, as you can see straightforwardly, the question is asking about the role of service sector in India's economic growth. So this is the first part of our body, no confusion regarding that. So this is body part 1. Then highlights is progress. We will talk about the progress also, progress of the different type of components as a part of the service sector, that how those components are performing. We will see it very soon based on the highlights provided in the economic survey. Then we will see the recommendations also. Again, these recommendations we have taken from the economic survey only. I'm going to share a chart with you. You can follow that chart and you can use that information and you can add it to your notes also, fine. So that is the overall idea. Now let us talk about the answer to this question, and firstly let us begin with the introduction part. So how you can write the introduction, since the question is directly asking about the service sector only. So we will start with the service sector, that the service sector has been fueling growth both domestically as well as globally. Fine. And this introduction also, by the way, I would like to highlight that this introduction also, the context of the introduction I have taken from the economic survey only, so that the information, the punchlines, everything that I'm trying to provide you is as authentic as possible. Fine. So the economic survey has said that the service sector has been fueling growth both domestically and globally, and the services value added accounts for about 62% of the global GDP. This is the line you will find if you start reading the economic survey. This is the first line of this chapter, which says that the services value added accounts for about 62% of the global GDP. After that, it says that in the financial year 25, so far services propped up GDP growth when manufacturing has been affected by dampening global merchandise trade. What is global merchandise trade? Merchandise, wherever you read this word merchandise, basically it represents the goods. Fine. Fine, it very specifically talks about goods. Whenever we say this global merchandise trade, it means the global trades in the goods. Fine. So the economic survey says that though the services, they have propped up the GDP growth, no doubt regarding that, but the manufacturing has been affected. What do you think? Why would the manufacturing would be affected? Why this sector has been affected if we compare it with the services sector? The reason is that because of the global supply chain disruptions. The global supply chain disruptions. Fine. In the past few years, we have witnessed multiple type of events. For example, we have witnessed the COVID. We have witnessed the Russia-Ukraine war also. We have witnessed different type of uncertainties. For example, the attack by Houthis on the ships. Fine, in the Indian Ocean, different type of uncertainties we have seen in the past few years. And since these uncertainties, they directly impact the supply chain, and the manufacturing sector is something that is directly dependent on the supply chains. Unlike the services sector, I'm not saying that the service sector is totally independent of supply chains. It is also dependent on that. But the thing is that it is not directly impacted by that, or I should say that it is not impacted to the extent up to which the manufacturing sector is impacted. So because of these type of uncertainties at the global level, what has basically happened? It has impacted the manufacturing sector. So manufacturing sector has been affected, but the services sector, it has propped up the GDP growth. Then the critical role of services exports in strengthening India's external balance and the increasing servicification of the industrial sector adds is important to the Indian economy. What do you mean by this term servicification? We will understand it very soon when we will talk about the body part. Fine, do not worry about it. But the thing is that the economic survey also highlights that the service sector, it has played a critical role with the help of the exports that we are providing, fine, at the global level, and that has helped in strengthening India's external balance and increasing the servicification of industrial sector. Fine. So this is something that you can write as a part of your introduction, but again, I'm repeating that please do not copy paste the introduction. I've just written it for your reference. What you can do, you can use the information, you can optimize it, and in a concise manner you can write it in your own words. That is going to help you in the long run. Fine, it will help you in creating your original version of the introduction. So do not copy paste it, do not write such a lengthy introduction. This is just for your reference. Now let us move on to the next part, which is the body part. Let us talk about the role of the service sector in India's economic growth as highlighted in the economic survey. So let us talk about it. So I have written it in the form of table, but when you will be writing the answer, of course, the first piece of information is that you don't have to write all the points because it won't be possible otherwise to complete the answer. So you have to be choosy, you have to be selective, write only those points that you think are the most relevant, and you can write it as a part of your answer in a concise manner. Fine. So don't write it in the form of tables because that won't be allowed in the real examination. You have to write it in the form of heading and subheading only. For the simplification and for the ease of revision, I have written it in the form of table. Fine. So the first point is regarding the contribution to GDP growth. So the economic survey says that services are crucial to India's GDP growth, especially when manufacturing sector facing different type of challenges. What type of challenges? I just discussed in the introduction part only. There also I talked about some kind of manufacturing sector hurdles. So I told you that it is directly dependent on the global supply chains, and because of those supply side issues, it has faced these direct repercussions. But if we talk about the service sector, we know that service sector is still thriving. IT sector is still thriving. Why is it so? Because it is not directly impacted by the global trade problems, and that is the reason services are very crucial to India's GDP growth. Fine. And the economic survey says that in fiscal year 25, services helped propel GDP growth while manufacturing struggled due to global trade disruptions. We discussed it in the introduction part also. Then if we talk about the contribution of the service sector, one of the most important contributions is related to employment and livelihood. So the services sector, they provide 30% of India's workforce. Is this data important? The answer is yes. It is extremely important data. Why is it so? Because services is something that is directly mentioned as a part of your syllabus. So my suggestion is that please make a note of this important, I would say, data and information, add it to your notes, because these are the, I would say, this is the updated data highlighted in the most recent economic survey. So what you can do, you can directly replicate in your examination. That is, I would say, one of the most important, most essential roles of the economic survey for your exam. So as a part of this employment and livelihood, it offers job opportunities in diverse type of sectors. For example, in IT, the business services, telecommunication, real estate, and public administration. We all know what the service sector opportunities, what all does it provide. But the thing is that it provides 30% of the India's workforce. After that, if we talk about service sector as an engine of growth, if you remember, the budget was also considering service sector as one of the important engines of growth. We discussed it in the budget class also. So it says that services sector are key to growth for middle income countries like India, China, and Thailand. Why is it so? Because the thing is that if you talk about the middle income countries, and if you talk very specifically about India, we know that a large segment of our population is still employed in the agriculture sector, and agriculture sector is very much volatile. It is very much sensitive to climate changes. Fine. If you talk about the manufacturing sector in our country, we know that manufacturing sector is very much sensitive to supply chain disruptions. Just now I have discussed it in the previous slide also. It is very much sensitive. Apart from that, if you talk about, I would say, the historical scenario of the manufacturing sector in our country, we know that somehow we have missed the development of the manufacturing sector. We have not emphasized in the past, we have not very much emphasized on the manufacturing sector, and the result of that, we are still suffering. Fine. So that is the reason it becomes very important that we start focusing on our service sector, because we are already a global leader as far as the service sector is concerned, and we will be able to compensate the loss that we have been facing with respect to agriculture and the manufacturing sector. So it becomes very important that service sector grows as a part of our economic growth, and this is very much specifically mentioned with respect to the middle income countries like India. Fine. Apart from that, India's service sector has increasingly supported the trade and exports, contributing to economy's structural changes. Then the next point that the economic survey talks about is the servicification of manufacturing. Servicification of manufacturing basically means that to integrate the services into manufacturing sector. So for example, basically it means that the businesses that are involved in making things, for example, the manufacturing businesses, like if I write it over here, okay, here you would be seeing the banner. So if I erase the ink, so you would be knowing that the manufacturing sector has been involved in, manufacturing different kind of things, for example the cars, for example the electronics, also sort of things. But if you talk about services sector is involved in the different kind of services like the IT services. It is involved in the logistics. Fine. It is involved with the logistics and also different kind of financial services. So servicification basically represents that what we are doing, we are involved in integrating the services into manufacturing sector, which basically means that the businesses that are involved in making things are now using services like these type of services like IT, logistics, financial services, so that they can improve their productivity. So this, I would say, this fusion of services in the manufacturing sector is nothing but represented through this term, which is known as servicification. I would say this term can be asked in your objective type paper also. They might ask you that, as highlighted in the economic survey, what do you mean by servicification, and they can give you various options, so you should know about it. Fine. So what does it mean? It means that the manufacturing increasingly integrates the services like the logistic, IT, financial services, so that they can enhance their production, and services such as digital supply chain management and business consultancy. With these are the two type of services that have been highlighted very specifically. They improve the manufacturing productivity. Fine. They have been easily able to get integrated as a part of the manufacturing sector also. Fine. Then the next point is regarding expansion of the services exports. So the services sector have grown, contributing to India's external balance. In 2023, India ranked 7th globally services exports with 4.3% share. A very important information. I want you to remember that. Fine. Just add it to your notes that what has been the contribution of the services exports, and the services growth accelerated to 12.8% in fiscal year 25. Now the next point is regarding the technological advancements also that we have been witnessing in the services sector. So the digital transformation has modernized the service delivery and created new opportunity for global expansion. So the platforms like ONDC, I hope you know about ONDC, Open Network for Digital Commerce. Basically it helps the businesses to get online, and provide their services. And this such type of platform, they provide more inclusive type of digital commerce services and helps the smaller businesses to engage in a seamless economy. So these are the, I would say, the important type of roles that, or the contributions that are provided by the service sector in India's economic growth as highlighted in the economic survey. Fine. You can make a note of these points, maybe not all the points, but whatever point that that seems relevant to you, that you think you can replicate in the examination, you can make a note of that, because these are the points from economic survey only. After that, let us talk about the body part 2. which is regarding the progress across various services. Fine, the progress of various services as far as the India service sector is concerned. So economic survey firstly talks about the railway sector. Fine, what does it talk about railway sector? It says that Indian Railways, the fourth largest network globally, it saw an 8% growth in passenger traffic and 5.2% increase in freight revenue. Apart from that, if you talk about how the government is helping in the enhancement of the railway services, so the government is upgrading the railway services by providing the amenities like the Wi-Fi, digital clocks and train indication boards, which basically improve the experience of passengers as far as the railway services are concerned. Then e-ticketing, if we talk about the e-ticketing, online ticketing, it now accounts for 86% of the reserved services and 33% of unreserved tickets. Fine, so this is something that is highlighted by the economic survey as far as the railways is concerned. Then at last it talks about, you can use this example as a value addition, that to promote tourism, the Bharat Gaurav trains showcasing India's heritage have completed 325 trips carrying over 1.9 lakh tourists. Do you have to remember this data? No, you don't have to remember this data. You just need to know about Bharat Gaurav trains. What are Bharat Gaurav trains? Basically, they are designed to showcase cultural and historical heritage. Fine, cultural and historical heritage. So basically the key feature about these type of trains is that, by the way, I have also attached the picture of these trains, so you can see it over here. So basically these are the type of trains that operate on specific routes only, and they focus on those type of destinations that have some sort of cultural and religious significance, and that is the purpose of this Bharat Gaurav trains. And another piece of information that you can remember is that these Bharat Gaurav trains, they work under PPP model, where the private sector is involved in the management and the operation of these heritage trains. Fine, so that is the idea regarding I would say the Bharat Gaurav trains, which are an important components of the railway sector. After that, we have the economic survey also talks about port, waterways and shipping. So it basically says that very factual data, nothing much to, I would say, explain. So it says that by India's major ports, they are expanding to meet rising trade demands, and the government has launched Maritime India Vision 2030. Fine, and the Maritime Amrit Kal Vision 2047 to make India a global leader in what? Global leader in shipbuilding by 2047. And this is what we want to achieve as far as our maritime expansion is concerned. Then we also it also talks about the inland water transport. India has 14,850 kilometers of navigable waterways, and the government is promoting river cruise tourism on national waterways which saw passenger movement over 3.36 लाख करोड़. अब इसमें कुछ समझाने वाला है नहीं, बट क्योंकि इन्फॉर्मेशन वहां दी हुई है एंड सर्विस सेक्टर से रिलेटेड है, सो यू शुड नो अबाउट इट. अब मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि आप सारा का सारा डेटा याद रखो, ये बड़े बड़े नंबर्स याद रखो, रख सकते तो अच्छी बात है, बट जरूरी नहीं है. आप मोस्टली आई वुड से कीवर्ड्स पे फोकस करो. ये चीज आपको पता होना चाहिए कि मैरीटाइम इंडिया विजन, ऐसी कोई विजन है हमारे देश में. देन वी हैव मैरीटाइम अमृतकाल विजन. दिस इज समथिंग दैट वी वांट टू अचीव एंड वी वांट टू बिकम अ ग्लोबल लीडर इन शिप बिल्डिंग. इतना आपको पता होना चाहिए. चाहे ये 14,850 नहीं भी पता होगा तो चलेगा, बट आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि वी वांट टू प्रमोट रिवर क्रूज टूरिज्म. फाइन, दिस इज द मिनिमम इंफॉर्मेशन दैट आई वांट यू टू रिमेंबर एज फार एज दिस टॉपिक इज कंसर्न. After that, we have the third component is the tourism and hospitality. Again, this is also factual. So basically the tourism sector, it contributes 5% to GDP. Do you have to remember that? The answer is yes. You need to remember, because again it is a part of the service sector, and service sector is directly I would say it is a part of your syllabus. So if the question comes regarding provide some kind of highlights regarding the progress of service sector, so you should be in a position to write such kind of value addition because it is easily available. Then the international tourist arrival, which basically means the foreign tourists that are arriving in India. So they have reached pre-pandemic levels in 2023, capturing 1.4% of global ITAs. Then the tourism earnings, they reached 28 billion USD, ranking India 14th globally in tourism receipts, accounting for 1.8% of the world's total. So again, I would say very factual information, and I hope it is clear to you. The next point is regarding the real estate. Now, in real estate, the economic survey says that India's real estate sector has performed strongly both in office as well as residential markets driven by economic stability. So basically it says that the real estate sector has performed very well both in office as well as the residential market. And what is the primary reason behind it? The primary reason behind it is the economic stability, because when there is economic stability in a country, what basically happens, it makes people more confident to invest in real estate sector. It gives more confidence to the people. to do such type of investments. Apart from that, another reason that the economic survey has highlighted is with respect to the growing demand in tier 1 and tier 2 cities. So tier 1 cities basically means the big cities that are there. Tier 2 means the smaller cities. Find the small cities. So economic survey says that India has ranked 31st in the 2024 Global Real Estate Transparency Index, with demand growing in tier 1 and tier 2 cities. And what is the reason behind this growing demand? The reason behind this growing demand is primarily due to the improved infrastructure. Fine, we have been witnessing improved infrastructure, for example, the metro networks and the roadways. It can be an example of that. Apart from that, the increasing rate of the urbanization. Fine, due to which what is happening, there is growing demand of the real estate. Fine, in these cities, in the urban areas, in the tier 1 and tier 2 cities, and that is the I would say the explanation regarding that. The next thing that the economic survey talks about, the role of the RERA Act, which is Real Estate Regulation and Development Act, and the economic survey says that it has also played very important role to enhance the transparency and to improve the project delivery. Fine, because this this RERA Act, this ensures that the developers, which basically mean the builders, they are totally transparent with respect to the building of different type of projects, and and it also mandates the developers or these builders to stick to deadlines. And when they stick to deadlines, what basically happens, they are able to provide on time delivery of the project. And this is something that is it is made sure by the RERA, and economic survey talks about it. After that, the economic survey also talks about the REITs, which is Real Estate Investment Trust. And what is this Real Estate Investment Trust? In a very simplified language, you can imagine it like stock market of real exchange. You can imagine it like stock market of real estate. Now the thing is that normally, if you want to buy a certain type of property, if you want to invest in the real estate, you need a lot of money. You need a lot of money to do that. But with the help of REITs, what basically happens is that with the help of REITs, you can buy a small share of a big property. You can buy a small share of a big property. And what basically happens because of that, because just like in a stock market, you buy the shares of a company, over here you are going to buy a small share of a big property. And how you get benefited, basically whenever this property makes money. Fine, whenever this big property is going to make money, it can be with the help of lease also, it can be with the help of rents also. So whenever this big property is going to earn money, what is going to happen, you are also going to earn a certain percentage of benefit. Fine, you are also going to earn through it, depending on the shareholding that you have. So this is how basically this REITs platform work, and this REITs platform has played very important role in boosting the commercial real estate liquidity, and it has played very important role in attracting the investors. That has basically helped in boosting this overall real estate sector. So what we have learned, we have seen the major I would say the factors behind the growth of the real estate sector. The first is the economic stability. Let me summarize this: economic stability. The second is the increase in the demand, the growing demand in the tier 1 and tier 2 cities. Sorry for the bad handwriting. And the third point is the RERA Act. The RERA Act, fine, that ensures transparency and on-time delivery of projects. And the fourth point that we can summarize is the REITs platform. Fine, I have already explained you. It is like the stock market of shares. Fine, the difference is that here you invest in the real estate. Fine, so I have already explained you. So these are the different factors that have basically led to the boosting of the real estate and played very important role in building the economy. The next point is regarding the IT services. So if you talk about IT services, ये बहुत ही factual है. So basically India's industry is a global leader, contributing significantly to exports economic growth. And now this sector is expected to grow by 5.9%, reaching USD 54 billion. ये डेटा याद रखना है, बिल्कुल भी नहीं. ये सब याद नहीं रखना. फाइन, इसे भी नहीं याद रखोगे तो चलेगा. ठीक है, कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है. दिस इज जस्ट अ प्रेडिक्शन, दिस इज जस्ट एन एक्सपेक्टेशन. अगर आप याद रखना चाहते हो ज्यादा 5.9% रख लो आईटी के रिगार्डिंग, उससे ज्यादा याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है. बट ये याद रख लेना, ये चीज मैं बोलूंगा आप याद रखो, दैट द गवर्नमेंट हैज रिमूव्ड एंजल टैक्स टू सपोर्ट the data centers exports and e-commerce. If you remember 2024 budget, the budget 2024, then you would be knowing that in that budget government had abolished the angel tax. What is angel tax? Basically when there are investors, fine, when investors invest in early stage companies. So for example, it is a startup, a small company, and it requires some kind of funding from an angel investor. So angel investor is going to invest that money, fine, in that startup, and based on the money that has been invested by the startup, if that invested money is increasing the fair market value, what is going to happen? This startup will have to pay the tax, and this tax is known as what? This tax is known as angel tax, because it is based on the investment that is done by the angel investor. So what the government has done, government has removed the angel tax, and this abolishment of angel tax, it is going to help the IT sector also. Why? Because with the help of this, it is going to boost the investment, and apart from that, it is going to support the new businesses also, especially with respect to the data center exports as well as with respect to the e-commerce. So that is going to be the benefit of that related to the IT services as a part of the service sector, and this is all because of the angel tax abolishment that was done, I told you, in the budget 2024. I hope it is clear. The last point is regarding the AI adoption in the Indian services sector. So how the artificial intelligence has been playing important role. So artificial intelligence has been playing multi-dimensional role. For example, in finance, the banks like SBI, they use AI for customer support. You must have heard about SIA. Fine, you must have heard about SIA, which is a AI powered chatbot, and SIA stands for what? You can write it in the chat box. Fine, sorry, in the comment box. So you can tell me what does the SIA stands for, and it is SBI Intelligent Chat Assistant AI powered chatbot, and basically what does it help? It helps in the customer support. Fine, and in a similar manner, we have been using multiple type of platform through artificial intelligence for the fraud detection and the risk management also. Apart from that, we have been using the AI in telecom also, because through that we are able to optimize the customer support, we are able to engage in the network management and the maintenance. Now try to search examples also in the economic survey. The examples were not mentioned in a very specific manner, a lot of example regarding these AI tools, so I have not written it. But what you can do, I would suggest you to Google 1 to 2 example. एक दो example Google कर लो अच्छे से, जैसे मैंने एक तो आपको सिया बता दिया, ये फाइन सिया आई हैव टोल्ड यू, एक दो एग्जांपल आप खुद से गूगल कर लो, ताकि उसको आप अपने एग्जाम में अगर ये पॉइंट लिखना चाहते हो, ये सारे पॉइंट लिखने की तो ऑफकोर्स जरूरत नहीं है, इतना आपके पास स्पेस भी नहीं होगी, बट अगर एक दो लाइन लिखना चाहते हो इस पॉइंट की, तो आप एग्जांपल के साथ लिखोगे तो इट विल लुक नाइस. फाइन, it will act as a source of value addition. So try to Google 1 to 2 examples regarding the AI adoption in the Indian services sector. I hope it is clear to you. Now the next is what? Next is the way forward. Now for the way forward, I tried my best to not complicate the things, because I have directly pasted a table from the economic survey only. This is a table that has been mentioned in the economic survey. This is chart 8.9, because it is from the chapter 8. So 8.9, which provides the summary of strategy recommendation. So basically, as a part of the strategy recommendation that the economic survey provides. So by the way, I would suggest you to remember these recommendations, because in case you are following any type of content regarding services sector, you will have to prepare the way forward also. So this can be a very good, the most updated type of way forward that you can write as a part of your answer. So instead of relying on static sources or any source, whatever you are following, in order to prepare the way forward for the services sector, what I would suggest you to use this way forward, because this is the most updated one from the side of the government and also mentioned in the economic survey. And you can write also that the economic survey suggests the following recommendations as far as the service sector is concerned. Fine, so under this you can write the recommendation. So let me just give you an overview that what this table is all about. So basically this table, it provides strategic recommendation for the services sector, and it divides the recommendation into 4 categories. The first is defend, the second is accelerate, the third is transform, and the fourth is untapped. Now basically when we say defend is basically, it represents it talks about to protect and to maintain the leadership in the certain type of established sector. So it talks about defending, it talks about maintaining some such kind of leadership, it talks about to protect some kind of, I would say, role with respect to some kind of established sectors. And what type of sectors? Basically where the economic survey talks about this defending role or the defending recommendations. So basically it talks about this defending theme with respect to the computer and IT services and professional, scientific and business services. Fine, so under the computer and IT services, the focus area should be upon the research and development, it should be on innovation upskilling and the global partnership. अब इसकी डिटेल में जाने की ज़्यादा ज़रूरत नहीं है और मुझे नहीं लगता कि कुछ एक्सप्लेन करने वाला भी इसमें है, बिकॉज दीज आर वेरी स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड टर्म्स कि हमें रिसर्च डेवलपमेंट चाहिए, हमें इनोवेशन चाहिए, वी नीड टू upskill, we need to enhance global partnership, also sort of things. If you want, you can write examples. Then under the different, it also talks about professional services and business services. So it talks about R&D, consulting, engineering, then the global market access. Fine, with respect to it. This is about different. Now regarding the accelerate basically it basically means to focus on the growing sectors that are doing well, but they need to speed up the growth. Fine, and that's why it says that we need to stimulate this sector so that it can outpace the global growth. And what type of sectors which are in this accelerate category? So we have the transport sector, we have trade and repair sector, we have education sector, we have financial services sector also. अब इसके अंदर बस ये कीवर्ड्स आपको पता होना चाहिए, इसको याद रखना, और एग्जाम में लिखना चाहते हो तो एक एक लाइन लिख देना इस पे, that we need to promote smart logistics. You can also give some example with respect to that, any kind of technologically oriented example. Then regarding trade and repair, for example, we need to promote automation, we need to promote e-commerce. Fine. Then the education, online education, international expansion, or with respect to the educational platforms. Fine. For example, most of our universities are still not at the the top global ranking, so we need to work upon that. So education is also a type of important service, so you can write an example with respect to it. Then the financial services, the fintech, digital services, and the global market access. Then the next point is regarding transform. So transform basically represents those sectors that need to improve the productivity and the innovation. And this is what the economic survey says, that over here we need to improve the productivity, innovation, as well as the global reach. And under the transformation category, the economic survey talks about the travel sector, then the health sector, as well as the personal, cultural, and recreational services. Fine. So we need to focus on wellness tourism, the digital fitness, digital content, as well as the fitness also. So this is something that we can do. So you can write the examples also. Fine. For example, the Fit India program of the government, different type of examples that are there. You can talk about smart cities in the transportation. एग्जाम्पल आप खुद से लिख सकते हो, बट ये कीवर्ड्स आपको मिल जाएंगे इस टेबल में, तो उसे यूज कर लेना. उसके बाद वी हैव द अनटैप्ड सेक्टर आल्सो, व्हिच मींस दैट सेक्टर द व्हिच हैज अ ह्यूज पोटेंशियल एंड वी हैव स्टिल नॉट एबल टू extract the potential with respect to it, so we need to work upon that. For example, the insurance and pension services, then the audio visual and the related device. Fine. After that, the telecommunication sector also, and the postal and courier sector also. So these are the sectors that have high growth potential, and we need to work upon that so that we can increase their market share, we can ensure their efficiency as well as the sustainability. So this is the way forward, and you can remember this. I would say अगर सारे पॉइंट्स याद रखने हैं, कम से कम कुछ पॉइंट्स तो याद रख लो, स्पेशली ये चार कैटेगरी जरूर याद रख लो, which is different, accelerate, transform, and untap, which is dhatu. Fine. The dhatu is the, I would say, the misnomer you can write, or the acronym. Fine. So I hope it is clear to you. Now the conclusion part. So basically the service sector is essential to India's export growth, contributing significantly to GDP and employment. So what we are doing as a part of the conclusion, we are rephrasing the thesis as provided in the question. We are writing that yes, service sector is essential to India's economic growth and it contributes significantly to GDP. Then what do we need to do in the future? Basically as a part of our future prospects, in order to sustain this growth, we need to focus on skilling the workforce for AI and digital transformation, along with regulatory reforms to simplify procedures is crucial. These steps will lead to what? These steps will lead to enhancement of global competitiveness and ensure the sector's continuous success, driving future prosperity across industry. अब ये मैंने कहाँ से लिया है? ये lines मैंने ली है economic survey से ही. Fine. This is a ready-made conclusion I have given to you from the economic survey only. You can use use it as a part of your answer, or you can write your own version of conclusion also, which I would highly appreciate. I hope it is clear to you. So now we are done with the session. This is the blueprint that you need to follow. Write the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Introduction, as I always say, should be around 10 to 12% of the total word limit. The same rule for the conclusion. And lastly, the body part, where you will use your rest of the word limit by dividing it into the heading, the subheadings, and under it the relevant points. Fine. So that is the idea, and try to give the data or some examples also. Not too many data or examples, but whatever you find it is relevant. So that is the idea you need to follow. This is the question, the answer of which you have to write it in the comment box. 600 words, 15 marks. Write it within 48 hours if you want it to get evaluated. Fine. So I hope it is clear to you. Lastly, we have EduTap blogs also that can help in enhancing your preparation. You will find informative articles over here, so do follow them. for the range of competitive exams like RBI, NABARD, the banking exams also, UPSC, CSAT also, different type of exams which we have discussed over here. You can follow them. Now, before I end the session, let me just, I would say, open the chat box. Yes, SSS, but you can start your answer with standard definition and data also. No problem with regarding that. But write the definition only in those type of answers where there is some kind of technical word. Fine. Now don't start defining the meaning of services in your introduction. That is not required. It is not a technical term. If there is a technical term in the answer, in the question, then only you have to define it in the introduction. Fine. Otherwise, you just have to write some kind of data, or you have to write some kind of other type of informative introductory lines. Fine. That is the idea you have to follow. I hope it is clear to you. Raj Chakravarti, how to prepare descriptive. Very soon we will take a workshop on that, and we will share the link of the workshop on our Telegram channel. How to prepare for descriptive in a detailed manner, Raj, we will talk about it. So please join our Telegram channel and we will update you regarding the same. Is it beneficial for 2026 aspirant? I would say no. Not directly, because these data, when the economic survey will come next year, the data is going to get updated. So for now, I would say you can skip economic survey. Just economic survey, not your entire preparation, Anish. So economic survey you can skip if you are preparing for 2026. Fine. Anyone else? Fine. So nothing is there. So with your permission, now I'm ending the session. And also, if you have any feedback, you can write it in the comment box, that what all I can do from my end in order to enhance your preparation as far as the descriptive answer writing is concerned. I will welcome all the suggestions, so do give your suggestions. So thank you so much.